Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online. G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome to today's show. I bring you to the beautiful Lismore region of New South Wales to feature a mechanic, a fabricator, a guy with a great story. In this week's Classic Restos, on the road. Getting around this great state of New South Wales, Lismore is an all-first for Classic Restos. So before I feature today's guest, here's a little about this beautiful area. Welcome to picturesque Lismore, New South Wales, Australia, residing in the Northern Rivers region of the state, home to an urban population of around 29,000 people. On the banks of the Wilson River, after you awake to a Lismore sunrise, there's just so much to see and do around the region. The tranquility of the rainforest, to the amazing sacred site of Nimbin Rocks, or perhaps a bushwalk taking in Minion Falls Nightcap National Park. Or maybe the spectacular border ranges is more your style, to a leisurely stroll through Lismore Main Street. Lismore has something for everyone. Lismore awaits you. Visit lismore.com.au. And now it's time for today's talent, a guy that's had cars in his blood every day of his life to date. Meet Adrian. It all started when Adrian's dear parents, Adrian and Anne, moved to Australia from Holland in the 1950s. Adrian's father was paid as a mechanic back in the day. His talents and passion led them to the conception of starting A&A Car Wreckers in Kilsyth, Victoria. They built this amazing business from a grass paddock to a thriving parts outlet from 1963 to 1974, later becoming Pick Apart. Adrian had a very close relationship with his dad, and his passing in 2016 took its toll on Adrian, as it often can happen. But it was his father's business that instilled the passion into Adrian. He drove cars from the age of 6, and that is something that not many of us can say. The Adrian with us here today enjoys his delightful 2-acre property around 30 minutes out of Lismore, completely surrounded by nothing but quiet and scenery. Inside his man cave, well, there's all things typically that we love. A tidy workshop, home to a 1930 A model supporting a 350 Chev, an incredible green 39 Chev, and another 39 Chev currently in the build. Here we are, beautiful sunny Lismore. How are you, Adrian?
Oh, I'm very good, Fletch. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for the invitation here. Beautiful property. How could you not like living here?
Mate, it's a part of the world that's fantastic, isn't it?
Adrian, you're a clever guy. I love the history of your family. That is just so nice. Your parents came out from Holland back in the 50s,
yep.
And your dad, obviously a talented guy. I know there's a lot of people watching that you know, their parents, this has happened to. They came to a country with a different language. Basically, well, there you go, start yourself. And then a lot of people created their little empires, and I've got magnificent respect for that.
Thanks, Fletch.
It must have been hard.
Well, you can imagine flying over the, I think they came over the North Pole or the South Pole, and one of the first ones to fly over there in the late 50s. And so they got married, and the Australian government actually wanted them to come over, and they actually paid for them to come over to be a mechanic, you know, and do mechanical work.
Wow.
So they thought on their honeymoon, they came here and they stayed here.
Now, the apples don't fall far from the tree, because your dad, obviously a talented man mechanically, and you followed in his footsteps as well. And having the, I guess, the privilege and the advantage of early age, being around cars, being able to drive cars at such a young age, and then that sticking with you for all these decades to the point where, well, you've created your own little empire. And you know, you've got a beautiful shed here. It's the man cave. We all love looking at the man caves, right? And I've said this all along. There's something about what is hiding behind a roller door. Doesn't even have to be a roller door.
Yep.
It can be a PA door. It's just what's in behind.
That's it.
And it doesn't have to be huge either. This is fairly compact, but you've got it set out really well.
Yeah, it's just sort of like thrown sort of together. It's a case of like, I always wanted a man shed or man cave or whatever, and I was going to build another little building. And a lot of the friends said, well, why do you need a man cave? You've got this.
Yeah.
You know, you've already got it, you know. So it's definitely the influence from my parents having the wrecking yard in Victoria, A&A Car Wreckers.
Yeah.
Started in the early 60s. And I grew up in that until the mid-70s.
Yeah.
Learned to drive in a Mini. And
The results of hard work as well. The fruits from your efforts. They paid off for your mum and dad, and it's certainly paying off for yourself too. Your passion for cars in terms of going for, you've got a 30A model here, 39 four-door Chevy Sedan in that brilliant green colour. Also the 39 truck here behind us, the Ute here in the build. Yep. There's no secret, obviously you love your 39s.
Originally it was an army truck to start with, so I've got a bit of history on that.
Yep.
And then Inverell Council. The original chassis is underneath it, but it's been boxed in. I've K-framed it.
Yep.
I'm going to run a 350 Chev in it.
Yep.
Just a turbo 400s in it now.
Yep. So now we're springing into this next level thing again here, because we're going to see the amount of modification, customising that you're doing down to the Chev emblem into the dash cluster, little things like that. Yep. And I know that with the body you've started from scratch as well. So yeah, this is a big deal when you get to this level.
It is. This one though is more of a challenge because I've got the green one on the road, and I thought, well, the pickup is going to be more an expression of me, I suppose, and more of a challenge. Yep. So if it's going to take me another year or two, it doesn't matter because I want it to be like different. Watching
the show, you may have done some restorations, and I do a lot of my mechanical work myself, and I, restorations too, but not at this fabrication level. This is where it's okay to pull things apart, clean them up, put them back together again, and okay, that's a nice little talent on its own. But when we look at using the English wheel, and when we look at building panels and doing the fabrication work, and there's a lot of guys out there that do it, and that's where I take my hats off to you guys to be able to do that, because that to me is very, very clever stuff.
It's more of a passion, Fletch. Like I've always liked building things. So really into the hot rod stuff has only started about 15 years ago, and I'm self-taught in all this sort of stuff. And then people say, oh, that took you a long time. I said, well, the thing is, it's not so much the product, it's the journey to finish the product.
Now stick around in your favourite chair, because we'll be back after the break as we start to feature some of the cars here belonging to Adrian Dahoon.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannons understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannons. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network. Welcome back. Well, here we go, beautiful. 1930 Ford, 2 doors, 350 Chev up front. Adrian, is this the businessman's coupe?
No, Fletch, the business coupe have got a bigger ass on them. This is, it's got a dicky seat.
No, I'm not talking about the businessman. I'm talking about the actual coupe.
Yeah, right, yep. No, it's straight out coupe, mate. Straight out coupe.
Beautiful car. What's been done here? Again, we've got the Ford with the Chev V8. Now, there's nothing new about that. A lot of guys do that, and a hot rodder told me years ago, he just said, Fletch, I love the shape of the Ford, but I love the Chevy V8. So, of course, it's best of both worlds, isn't it?
That's it. Well, I'm a Chev man. So, we've got this one for
Really, Adrian?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked that.
So we actually, quick history on this one, we bought this one with my brother-in-law. Sorry, I didn't buy it, my brother-in-law bought it. And it was close to finished, but then when we got it home and started getting into it, we found that there was probably a lot of things that weren't up to our standard, or scratch, I suppose, if you want to call it, for safety and stuff. So we ended up rebuilding the whole car, Fletch. We put new interior in it, new motor in it, new gearbox, new guards, new grille, new wheels.
And what I love about
just kept going.
What I love about the hot rod fraternity is that every hot rod's different, and there's just so much personality that you can put into each design. Here we've got a two-tone paint colour that I haven't quite seen before. We've got a beautiful customised interior, beautiful gauges sitting there in dash. It's just a perfect combo. Whether you go from the front of the car to the rear, it's all proportionate, and everything, it just flows. Everything matches nicely.
It is. It's, even though it's a Ford, and I'm a Holden man or Chev man, I
knew something had to go down this road like this.
I do love this car.
Yeah,
I do love this car.
He's actually cleaned his act up a lot. You should have heard him when the camera wasn't rolling.
So yeah, and it's actually XR Falcon colours, actually, and Vic Hanlon from Customer in Lismore did the paint job on it, and it took him nearly a month to sort out the colours for Kev, the brother-in-law, because he said the white is not white. Yeah. I'm not a painter. I'll prep bodies and sheet metal and all that, and interior and stuff, but the colour, leave it to the professionals. You do so much work. You need someone to put a good finish on it.
Well, this white's got some pearl in it, hasn't it?
It has, It might not pick it up, but it's...
Of course, the old story too, the 350 up front. I mean, that's a good-sized V8 engine for a relatively light vehicle. So under the right foot, it must be exciting to drive as well.
Sheer boogies. They
get up and boogie, don't they? They really do. Speaking of your bright work, originally on the car, how was it all? Did you have to fabricate most of that, or was it? Yeah,
there was a bit in there. It used to have the headlights coming up off the chassis, so we removed them and put the traditional radiator bar across for the lights. They're commercial headlights, so we went for the bigger headlights. We had the radiator shroud there, or support there. That was a bit dinted up, so another bloke in Lismore, Carl, straightened that out, and we just put a stainless steel mesh insert. And then I went to Toowoomba swap meet and saw the quail, and I thought, that's got to go on the radiator.
Was he a European guy, Carl?
Carl Mills.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Carl straightened that out. I'm just wondering what country he was from.
Yeah, right, Carl straightened that out. Carl, right, now I'll see where you're coming from.
Carl straightened it out, I've got it now, right.
On you, Carl.
Carl does
did a good job.
Carl does great work.
Yep. So we fabricated the exhaust systems as well and put a new diff in it.
What sort of diff did you go?
Just a 9-inch.
Just a 9-inch?
Yeah, just a 9-inch. Yeah, 9-inch there.
Yeah, you never break that in this.
And the dash is out of a Chrysler Royal.
Yep.
Actually.
Yep.
And I machined up some little plastic bizzles so we could actually fit a later model gauge into that frame. Yeah. And I'd made it a little bit more depth, so it looks like it's sunken in a little bit.
That's beautiful. And pop-out windscreen?
Yes. Yeah, we replaced the windscreen as well. Yeah. The other one was just a steel one, so we got the alloy and just polished it.
How do you go with glass with these things?
With your street rods, you must have laminated windscreens. So it is a requirement for that. So with building street rods, the best thing is, before you start, is actually have a look at the street rod regulations, which are on the website. Yep. And they are absolutely fantastic. They'll tell you what you can do and actually advise you what you can do and how to do things, so it's safe. This hot rod behind me just means heaps. It's basically a labour of love. It's a way of expressing ourselves, and I think that's what I enjoy about building hot rods. A lot of sweat's gone into it, but also a lot of pleasure, and I think that's what we all look for in it in life. Mental health is really becoming a big issue lately, and I find that even me working on them, it's like I come down to the shed, get away from the world for a while, and then just tinker away. A lot of people say to me, how have you got the patience to do that? Because a lot of hot rod builds go for at least 6 years, realistically, at least. So it's a lot of time spent down working on it. Probably 80% looking at it and thinking about it, and 20% doing. But I think that sort of thing brings you down from the hassles of the world at the moment, and it just sort of gives you a place to go. Even though I'm a Chev man, I still get heaps of pleasure driving the Ford. It's you can't really explain the feeling when you've actually finished it, and then you go down the street and people are constantly looking at you. If I'm at a service station, if there's kids there and they like it, I say to the parents, do you want them to sit in there? I said, I'm happy if they want to sit in it. And it puts the biggest smile on their dial, and mine as well, because really it's for pleasure. It's something to bring life to people and a bit of hope. It's more of a, well, I never knew they had cars like that back then, and people are always waving because it's different. Like, they don't see cars like this anymore.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life. My Coupe 4 is rare and very special. A real performance car with all-wheel drive grip. I'm not a car club bloke and I don't work on it myself, but I do have a great mechanic. One day, I might even get that HQ. When it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons.
Shannons shares your passion. Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. Do you own a classic? Perhaps you're halfway through a restoration such as this. Imagine if something happened to it. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat to discuss some laid-up cover on 134646. And keep in mind too that the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Next car, next cab off the rank, 1939, the green one here.
The baby.
Yeah. Now this is a special car to you. I know that.
It surely is.
So what can you tell us, Adrian?
It was built in 1939. It was originally bought very locally, only 5 kilometres away. I'm the second registered owner of it. It was in a paddock rotting away, but we brought it back to life. But you know, the best thing is that when I've shown the original family, they can't believe that it's back on the road and looks so good, and it brought back memories.
What was its original colour?
It's a black purpley sort of a colour. You know, back in the old days where they had like that red leady underneath it. And
back in the days when cars used to be washed with cap full of Kero in the water.
That's it.
Keep the Duco clean.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I think the luckiest thing was that the grille was still straight, Fletch. The 39 is significant because it was the year my mother was born.
Yep.
And Mum passed away, and suddenly this came up.
Beautiful.
And it was like 39 wasn't planned.
Beautiful memories.
And I had a choice of 2 though, Fletch. There was 2 in the paddock. There was a 1924 model Chev, and this one. And of course it was a Tudor, so it had no roof on it.
Yes.
And I said to my wife Sue, I said, oh, I don't know. And she says, look, get the one with the roof on it because you'll enjoy it more and we won't get wet.
Well, being a 1939 car too, so much more advanced than the 24.
Yeah,
as well.
chassis-wise and everything. Like
39, as we mentioned earlier in today's show, it's a bit of an interesting era. Cars were starting to really evolve, weren't they?
They were, and with the Depression coming as well, I mean, like, you know, I suppose you're going pretty good to own a car, I think, back then.
Also too, 4-door car and the room in the back. We all know how big these things are in the back.
It's like an armchair, eh?
Now, interior's been done. You've got some different front seats in that. That's an interesting thing too, how a set of front seats can change the dynamics of how a car feels to drive.
Yep. Well, the back seat is fully original with the original armrests, so I had to rebuild them because they were timber.
Yeah.
But I told the upholsterer it's got to be the same. David Kirk at Evans did the upholstery, and he sort of like really looked at the age and the era of it.
Yeah.
So we stuck with the door cards with the same theme. The front seat's a Celica front seat, because the original bench seat was humongous, and it seemed to lean back, and it was like, But it's just a vinyl interior, but you would think it's leather.
I think too, a work of art are these front screens. Now, it would have had a centre divider bar down
Yes,
there
it
once
did.
upon a time. You haven't got that, so what did you do there?
Yeah, we talked about the glass, and I'd seen cars where they've done the same, put polyurethane to join the two pieces of laminate.
Yep.
And it took away sort of like that wider stretch in the middle. It doesn't leak. It's good, and it gives it a cleaner look.
Just back to the colour for a sec.
Yep.
Did you beat yourself up over that, whether to go green on a 39 car? I mean, it looks beautiful, it really does.
Yep.
But if you hadn't have gone the green, did you have any other colour in mind?
Not really. It was some sort of green, and how it all came about with this green was driving down the road, and I had to start picking a colour because it was close to needing the paint on it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I need a car that's going to stand out,
Yep.
because the hot rod's got to stand out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was a line of, I think, about 20 cars, and there was one that caught my eye instantly.
Yep.
And it was an SS Commodore,
Yep.
and it was the atomic
You just-
green.
yeah, you know,
and it just
yeah.
my eye took it, and I
Yeah.
thought, that's it.
Yeah, I'm very big on the creative visualisation. I think
Yep.
once you've got that picture in your mind, you know what you want,
That's it.
and you go grab that. Okay, engine up front, what have you done there?
It's just a 308.
308,
308
yep.
Holden
Yeah.
with a Trimatic.
Yeah.
Throw into a VN Commodore disc brake rear end. I think the 39 Chev is very stylish. It's got that round sort of, I don't know, aerodynamic sort of feel to it. So the designers must have had a hard time, maybe they didn't, designing it, because if you go earlier, they're more squarier, boxier sort of cars, where they started getting into the 30s and they started rounding things off. Bigger panels, rounder panels, not square. So, you know, I fabricate a few panels myself, and I've tried to have a go at making a guard, and it's very hard. When I'm driving it down the road, it's like, it's sort of like it's a relaxing. You know, it's not a tense feeling. It's like an unwinding feel. I'll even drive it to work. You know, just to be in my car and sort of like sit there and chill, I suppose, if you want to call it that.
Filming this episode here at Adrian Dahoon's today has been just remarkable. The Trojans Rod and Custom Hot Rod Club have found out, and before you know it, it's later in the day, and the whole club has turned up here on Adrian's property. It was a sight to see, all the hot rods single file coming through the gate, lining up here on Adrian's property. And now we have Rick, the club president. Rick, thank you so much for coming out here this afternoon.
Fletch, yeah, no worries. Well, just any excuse for a run.
Good on you. Tell us about Trojans.
Like I said, Trojans was started way back in the 60s, actually in the Hunter Valley. But the guy moved up here and the club disbanded.
Yep.
And about 16 years ago I decided, damn it, we need a new one. So we formed the Trojans once again.
You guys stand for fun, and you know you're at the point of your lives too where there's no better therapy. You've got your hot rods, you're out and about, you go on your club runs. That's perfect.
What it's all about. Well, I'm 74 now, and I feel about 18. Except the body's saying different.
Good on you, Rick. Thank you so much for turning up here today. I really appreciate it. Is there a website or a Facebook page or something for Trojans?
We do have a Facebook page, yeah.
If you're interested to find out more about the Trojans here in Lismore, check them out on social media. Rick,
Definitely.
again, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Fletch. No worries.
Go Lismore! Go Classic Restos!
We've come to that time of the day now. You've seen this before on Classic Restos. Adrian, you're a prime candidate. You are definitely a Holden legend.
I'm definitely a Holden man.
From GMA, from General Motors Australia, please accept this Holden Legends cap. And not only that,
Thank you, very kind.
I'd also like you to take this Holden Legends pack.
Wow.
We're giving a few of these away to some select people on Classic Restos.
Yeah.
And you can buy these when you go to gmsvstore.com.au. You want to go to that site and check it out. And there's some great memorabilia on there and what have you. You'd love it if you go there and have a look.
This will be in the house somewhere, eh?
There you go. Well, that's from GMA to you, and thanks for being a Holden legend, Adrian.
No worries. Thank you, GMA.
So standing there proud as punch, this opportunity now, Adrian, thank you so much for the invitation here to your beautiful property to check out just a bit of your man cave and your cars and your hospitality here today. It's been a pleasure, mate, so thank you very much.
No worries, Fletch. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming and
You're welcome.
making an exciting day for everyone involved.
No problems at all. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you.
What a cracker. I hope you've really enjoyed this week's episode of Classic Restos here in Lismore, New South Wales. It's also a big thanks to Justin from Halray Brakes here in Lismore for his organisation to allow Adrian Dahoon to show us just some of his wonderful collection. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.